In this video, I'm going to go over hand path, club path, face being square, open, close, and what that means. Now, this is a very generalized discussion, just to get you to understand the overall what it means to have proper hand path, club path, being square, and all that. There are so many combinations and variations. I can't go over them all, but this is just to get a general understanding. So, how do we really understand how to get proper hand path and what that means in relation to the club face, the target, and everything that goes with it to try to hit a relatively straight shot? So one, we need to understand that we are not bent over when we're at a golf, we're in our posture. We're not 90 degrees bent over. We're not 100 degrees just straight up and down. We're somewhere kind of around the 30 to 45 degree angle. So I'm going to get this red pool noodle, kind of represents the plane. When I swing back and around, you can see how I'm going in a circular motion on plane, and you can see how this red noodle that I'm holding kind of traces the blue noodle that's on the ground. So understanding that we're bent over about 30 to 45 degrees and we're swinging around a plane, we're going to create an arc. Okay, now just to kind of give you the lay of the land here, this blue stick is the target line. Now we have an arc here denoted by the blue foam noodle, and we have kind of a reddish pinkish noodle. Now the red one is going to denote hand path. Because my hands are closer to the body, my hands are generally speaking going to follow the arc of this interior circle. Now, because it's closer to the body, it's going to be much more rounded than the outer blue one, because that one's further away. Okay? Again, very generalized, so bear with me on that. The arc of the interior noodle is going to be denoted by the width of our feet. So if I have a 58 degree, you can see how, or a 60 or a high lofted, I usually set up with my feet quite narrow, which means that circle is going to be much more rounded. Driver, I get wider with my feet. It's going to make that circle much rounder, almost kind of like a race car track. So much more oval, and we're going to have more of a back straightaway here in front of the ball, and then we're going to be rounded on the ends. Okay, so this is a 7-iron. So I've got here the interior circle, quite round, right around my feet. Now, what does that mean for the blue one? Well, this is our target line. So we would like for the club to go down the target line as best we can. Now, it is going to have an arc-like motion, okay, because we are bent over. The key to remember to all of this is our face. A lot of people that I teach will try to get the club square at the ball and hold it square past the ball for an extended period of time. Now, when we do that, we're actually getting open to the arc. So the pink is the arc of my hands. The blue is the arc of the club face. It's got to travel down the plane and then around around on the plane. The club face is going to stay square. It needs to stay square to this outer blue noodle. That is the outer arc. Okay? So when you try to keep it square, and we come down, we're going to come down here. Now, if I get to square, and I'm going to get here, but I'm going to try to hold it, well, I'm going to start in the downswing, getting that club to stand up. Now, one thing I need to go back and cover is that when we set up to it, the club is sitting on the ground at a specific angle. Okay, when you go get fitted for clubs, there is a standard angle that they rest at. And when you go get fitted, you either get them more upright or flatter based on your numbers when you go to your fitter. So I have it here. So this is how I would ideally like to have the club enter the ball. So if I try to keep it square too long and keep the shaft angle at its desired angle, I'm actually going to have my hands cut inside of this inner angle, which brings the club inside of the inner angle. And we're going to get, for a right-handed person, a left to right flight pattern. If I come in and I want to throw the club at it, now the club is coming from an inside the outer angle, which means I'm going to come inside here. Now my hands are going to cross over the pink. I'm going to hit out like such, which is going to get the club face traveling on the outer part of the blue. Now if I close it to get it to square, it is going to produce more of that right to left ball flight. Again, generalized. So our ideal situation is to get our hands to mirror and trace this inner foam roller, which will allow the club, as you can see, to trace the outer foam roller, and the face is going to stay square to the blue foam roller. That is squared. That is a straight shot. Now, how do we work on this, and how do we get this to be effective on a consistent basis? First, we need to do it by, one, we get loaded going back, and I've gone over videos on that. Two, getting this pivot, lead leg pivot set very, very well. So I get turned back, get it set, drops it into a neutral to shallow position. Then it'll allow my hands to be in position. Now the hands are getting pulled by this front leg. As you can see, keeping the angle of the shaft like I want. Hands are tracing the inner arc. Now I'm releasing, and I can release through, feeling like I'm releasing through and down the target line. In all actuality, I'm staying square to that outer noodle, and now I'm going to hit a straight shot. So if you really want to work on hand path and kind of getting a good visual, you can create this like with some noodles and a stick, and just sit here and really trace. Your hands need to trace the inner noodle, the club face, trace the outer noodle. It's a very complex issue to try to explain and to show. So give it a shot and you'll see how the body needs to work properly, especially in the transition. Well, first, getting a good turn, then in the transition, so that we have leverage, we can create torque, which will help us to control the hands going on the inside arc, which will also help us control the face going on that outside arc for a square and solid hit.